You've heard the podcast, now read the book. A Murder Most Foul, The Life of a Hitman. The new novel by Richard Marx. Enter the mind of a contract killer who committed one of the most inexplicable crimes of the 20th century. The inside story will shock you. The News Echo says, Marx has crafted an engrossing novel that is the literary equivalent to a jigsaw puzzle. The Westchester Journal says, Richard Marx writes with confidence and conviction. The voice is world-weary but sharp, poetic but not flowery. His prose is filled with gallows humor, literary allusions, and sentences that often read like lyrics or spoken-word confessionals. A Murder Most Foul, The Life of a Hitman. Available in hardcover, paperback, and ebook from Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and wherever fine books are sold. From Oxford Press. Greetings, friends. This is Dr. Richard Marx, and welcome to A Murder Most Foul, The Life of a Hitman, a reading of my unpublished novel in chapters. I hope you'll enjoy it. Chapter 36. Then, HOUSEHUSBAND. Angels of love protect us from the innermost secrets we hide. Paul McCartney, Calico Skies, from his 1997 album, Flaming Pie. This was the first time I had the opportunity to be in Gabriella's house alone, so I did what anyone would do. I vacuumed, and then I snooped. A small record collection, probably 50 albums or so, and 50 more than I had. Nothing that I found revolting. Also, and I'm wondering what this means, about 50 books, although it would have been 51 before the great Plutarch giveaway. Mostly hardbacks, maybe 10 paperbacks. No theme stood out. Well, maybe a couple more paperbacks on pop philosophy than anything else. The hardbacks were mostly classics, a few New Orleans-specific titles, Streetcar, Confederacy of Idiots, The Awakening, and classics. Complete Shakespeare, Life on the Mississippi by Twain, Milton Cross stories of the great operas. Actually, if I only told you she was a stripper, you'd be a bit surprised at this selection. No prescription drugs other than birth control and a small amount of recreational drugs, a very small bag of pot, and a little bottle of hash oil. Alcohol was a bottle of Southern Comfort, a bottle of Sazerac whiskey, a bottle of Anisette, and a bottle that looked unopened of Amaretto. I started looking through her closet. Some very nice dresses and several floor-length gowns, a fair number of short skirts, and a couple of lingerie outfits. As I looked through the clothing, I started imagining Gabriella in the outfits, and my slowly rising erection made me realize I was still naked. Time for a shower. I was ready to go, and it was only 3 o'clock. A knock at the door startled me. Should I answer it? I opened the door slowly. A kid holding a box stood there. "Mr. Weebling, I'm Doug from Rubenstein's. We cleaned and pressed your clothes." And handed me a box as his eyes scanned the room. I guess he had been told there was something special here. "Oh, that's so nice of you, buddy." And I handed him a $20 bill. He stared at it in awe. "I can't take this, sir. It's far too generous." "You deserve it, Doug. Please let Mr. Rubenstein know that I'm knocked out by the exemplary service we received, and thanks." I settled down wondering how to kill 3 hours. I grabbed Life on the Mississippi off the bookshelf. It was a little dog-eared, its brown leather cover scratched in a couple of spots, and the gilded picture on the cover was pretty worn. James R. Osgood and Company, 1833. Wow, this is an old book, maybe even a first edition. Then the title page, Life on the Mississippi by Mark Twain, and under that an autograph, Samuel Clemens. Holy shit! Was there anything that could make me love this woman more? Oh shit, the woman! I was going to propose and I didn't have a ring. I took a chance and knocked on Miss Kelly's door. It sang its way open. "Good day, Mr. William. Oh, that's a fine suit," she said with a laugh. "Miss Kelly, Gabby bought it for me." "Now, I told you to call me Harriet. Miss Kelly makes me feel so old. Putting you in a fine linen suit, that girl's gonna make a New Orleanian out of you, and that's something to be proud of." "I know, and I'm sorry, Harriet. It's just not how I was raised," I lied sheepishly. "'Tain't nothing with that, Mr. William, but after that sweet music you two was making last night, I thought you might be sleeping all day long." I must have blushed. Miss Kelly looked at me and said, "Now, Mr. William, you done turned redder than a crawfish coming out to boil," and she laughed. "I'm so sorry, ma'am. Sorry if we disturbed you." "Disturbed? Son, this is New Orleans. Next to Louis Armstrong, there ain't no better music in the whole wide world." She grinned at me. "Well, Harriet, I'm in a bind. I need to make a purchase at a jewelry store. Is there one around here?" "You gonna be bending the knee with Miss Gabriella?" she said, clapping her hands. "Oh, God bless you both. I prayed to our Lord that Miss Gabriella would find someone. Such a beautiful young lady, and she always seems so sad and alone. I tell you, in my day, a woman looking like that would make the gentlemen callers wear out the sidewalk to get to her front door. Things ain't like they used to be. Jesus must have sent you. You ain't much to look at, but you saved that young beauty's soul, Mr. William." "That's very kind of you to say, but I'm beginning to realize Miss Gabriella may have given me my soul. I'm proposing tonight, but I still need a ring." "I never been there, but Villeneuve and Gautreau on Canal is the one that everybody talks about." "Thank you so much," I hurriedly said. "Before you runs off, can I give you a word of advice? I love Miss Gabriella, and I love this city like I love my own children, even the troublesome ones. But, Mr. William, take her away from New Orleans. This city infects the soul with a kind of melancholy, like that book, The Awakening. Miss Gabriella has had some hard times here." "Miss Kelly, you've read Kate Chopin?" "Everyone in New Orleans has read Kate Chopin. I even like her music." She winked at me and laughed. "Now you better skedaddle and get your woman a ring." "Thank you again. Skedaddle I shall." Back through Gabriella's door when I looked at the clock. 4:33. There was no way I could get across the river and to the city and back by 6. I grabbed the yellow pages. How many jewelry stores are there in Algiers Point? Jewelry. Another knock at the door. "Yes, coming." This place was turning out to be Grand Central Station. I opened the door to Police Commissioner Fortier. "Commissioner, what a pleasant surprise!" He noticed the yellow pages in my hand. "Now, Mr. Weebling, were you on your way out?" "I was looking up local jewelry stores." I shouldn't have said that. "A gift or a more auspicious occasion?" "Just a gift from Miss Blue." "Now, son, I've been a police officer a long, long time, and I think I know when someone is telling me a little fib." And he laughed, a real laugh, one that could damage glassware. "Would you be so kind to invite me out of this heat?" Yes, of course. Where are my manners? Please do come in. I'm sure Miss Blue wouldn't mind, but she's not here at the moment." "No, I didn't see her little green VW, but it's you I wanted to see." I motioned for him to sit, and he walked over and stood by the chair. But he didn't sit. "Would you join me for a glass of sweet iced tea?" I offered. "That would be wonderful." "Let me round that up." But rather than sitting, he followed me into the kitchen, taking a quick look at the unmade bed that made no effort to hide our activities of the past several days. He walked over to the cabinet where the liquor was kept and took out a bottle of Southern Comfort and held up the bottle as if checking the contents from the last time he was obviously there. He grabbed a glass. He knew where those were as well. "Mr. Weebling, won't you join me?" he said, holding the bottle in my direction. "I think I'll pass, Commissioner. Miss Blue and I are dining at the Napoleon House this evening, and I hear they make a special cocktail there." "Oh, yes, the Pim Cup. Very refreshing. But we need to have a serious conversation, and I think a little nip of comfort will do you good." Who am I to disagree? Sweet tea and comfort it is. Back to the living room, again through the bedroom. Fuck, I wish I made the bed. As I sat in the chair opposite the commissioner, I surreptitiously adjusted the PPK in my suit pocket for rapid deployment. "Oh, son, this is a friendly visit. There's no need for those precautions." This guy was good. How had he seen that? "I never felt comfortable using German weapons after serving in WW2. I was in Japan, so I didn't fight the Krauts directly. But I guess I wouldn't feel right using a samurai sword either." Another bellowing laugh. "And that's a .32 caliber police positive revolver and a 4-inch barrel to boot. That's a rare sidearm," I said, causing a quick flash of surprise on his face. "You are correct, but it does concern me that you would know that. Just as much as a bathroom fixture salesman carrying a PPK does. But yes, when I was a beat cop, I carried a 6-inch, then as a detective a 5-inch, and as commissioner a 4-inch. Miss Fortier complains my gun, like my manhood, is getting shorter every day." He laughed. "Well, if it's any consolation, you seem to know your way around here, and I've not heard any complaints." I laughed. He didn't. "Mr. Weebling, your jest is insulting. To myself, my wife, Miss Blue, you're a very lucky man. She sees something in you that I have not yet identified, but you should treat her with the utmost respect. But that may be a moot point." "How so?" I asked. "Mr. Weebling, let me put this as gentlemanly as possible. Miss Blue is among the most beautiful creatures the Almighty God has seen fit to place on this earth. She attracts the eye of every man who is blessed enough to see her, and I'm afraid the jealousy of every woman. But she holds none of the callousness of a woman of her calling. New Orleans is a very old city, older than this great nation. New Orleans also has a very old population, and many of those older residents are wealthy widowers who long for the company of a beautiful, effervescent, and learned young women like Miss Blue." "Where I come from, we call them dirty old men," I said with a measure of disgust. "No, sir, you are mistaken. Those are gentlemen of the highest breeding and the highest standards. Now, if you will forgive my lapse into gutter language, as I hope our Lord will, Miss Blue may have appropriate relations with some of those gentlemen. I suspect that number is very small. Some pay her money for her company." "I think all of them do." "Lord have mercy, but all right. Remuneration just to sit on their front porch and have a glass of sweet tea. Some of them may pleasure themselves while looking at her nakedness, and one gentleman merely has the occasional Sunday dinner at his mansion in the company of a woman who he delusionally believes reminds him of his late wife. Having met his wife on several occasions before her passing, I can attest that she did not have 1/10 of Miss Blue's beauty or charm. What I'm getting at is that Miss Blue plays an important and quite lucrative part in New Orleans culture here in 1978 as the world sinks ever toward rapture." I realize she's more than a stripper, but he laughed again. "Do you know who recommended she take that job at the Blinding Light? I did. She needed an excuse for her financial success to keep the old biddies at bay, and stripping not only fit the bill, but gave the jealous wives the perceived moral high ground." I think I understand, but I wasn't exactly sure he was getting it. "Miss Blue's happiness means a great deal to me, so if you two were making plans together, I wouldn't dream of interfering. But there's another issue that we need to discuss, and for that discussion, I must ask you for your sidearm, Mr. Weebling." "Commissioner, I give you my word as a gentleman that I have no intention of harming you in any way." "You harming me? Oh, Mr. Weebling, perish the thought. But your word as a gentleman? Allow me to pry, Mr. Weebling, where were you born? Honestly, sir, I have no idea. I'm an orphan. I'm sorry. A man's got to have roots to really grow as a man, but more importantly, I don't regard anyone not born in the great state of Louisiana as a gentleman unless I know them like they were my own kinfolk, and even then. His voice trailed off as he made a motion, waving me to hand him the PPK. I felt I didn't have a play yet. He popped the clip and checked the chamber. He reloaded the clip and looked around the room. Choosing the framed photo of the Queen of Storyville, he closed his eyes and raised the pistol, opened his eyes and said, "That's a fine natural aim. I may have to get one of those. I better make a note to apologize to Miss Harriet. Mr. Weebling, I won't ask you why you have this," he said, handing me the gun back. "Frankly, I think any man who walks around a French Quarter after dark without protection is a damn fool, even more so with a lady like Miss Blue on your arm. She attracts a great deal of attention." "Yes, she does. After seeing you two lovebirds in galatoires last night— Oh, goodness, where are my manners? Thank you so much for taking care of our dinner." "Seeing that little squaw happy made it worth every penny for me. But, Mr. Weebling, I'm a law man. I dare say a damn good one." The name William Weebling rang a long-forgotten bell somewhere in the back of this old brain. It took me a long while to remember, but then it hit me. William Weebling was wanted for murder in 1963. I called an old friend in Tulsa, and he read me the file. A shovel to the throat and blunt force trauma to the head of a Mr. Frederick Krause, who passed on at the scene, and blunt force trauma, presumably also a shovel, to the back head of one Dorothea Krause. Mrs. Krause never regained consciousness and perished in 1969, making this a double homicide. Fuck. The fantasy world I had been cultivating was crumbling. I should have known better. Now here's where it gets tricky. The only witness was a 16-year-old named Gabriella Azura. Gabriella Azura, who fainted at the scene and was unable to provide any description of the assailant. Apparently, Mr. Krause frequently had non-consensual sex with the young lady and would often supplement his income by forcing the young lady to have sex with his friends for remuneration. The young Mr. Weebling was never seen again. Now that Krause sounds like a real piece of shit, forgive my French. And again, I wish I could shake the hand of the young hero who saved the honor of the young lady, and probably lots of other potential victims down the line. But, sir, I am an officer of the law, and that's the law as it's written, not the right and wrong that's written in my head or my heart. Now I see 3 possible directions in this little problem. There may be more. You let me know if you can think of any. 1, you take a chance with this old man and go for your fancy German gun. But I can guarantee you'll die where you're sitting, and Miss Blue's chair will be ruined and no doubt her heart broken. 2, I will arrest you and charge you with double homicide, and you'll be extradited to Tulsa, Oklahoma, and tried. Given what I know, I wouldn't doubt it would be a fairly light sentence. Double homicide as a juvenile, probably 10 to 20. Sure, they might throw on a few years for embarrassing them. 15 years? 16 years. Yes, you are correct there. 16 years. I had to think that I'd killed over 100 people. Fuck, probably close to 200, 300 or 400 if you count Nam. They wouldn't, but still, odds are they'd find out about at least one of the others. Besides, I saw what they did to Sarge. What dark forces would love to get their hands on me? And third, son, if I was your pa, I would advise you to think long and hard about this one. You hop in your car, get out of my parish. Lord, you should get out of my state and never come back. Don't you ever breathe a word to a soul about this, because my career and reputation are on the line. Not even a word to Miss Blue. I will make your file disappear. After a time, that is. And you live the rest of your life. If that's your choice, I will accept your word as a gentleman. Let's figure this out right quick. Oh, God, what will she think? Was that Yellow Page search looking to buy an engagement ring? I nodded.
Then she'll think you got cold feet and ran off. She'll probably hate you more than that dirty old rapist in Tulsa. Hell, son, she may even hire a killer to track you down. But at least she'll be alive and you'll be alive. And all your old pervert friends will still get to take a little piece of her heart every day. Don't go there, son. I wish none of this has happened. But this is a judgment from which there is no appeal.
Commissioner, I'll tell you something. These days with Gabriella have been the happiest of my life. I think I'd rather be dead than go on without her, and she will be crushed.
For a time, yes. But a woman who looks like that will always have someone willing to help. Maybe for selfish reasons, but she's smart as a whip. She will survive. What's your decision, son?
I don't see as I have much choice, Commissioner, but one thing before I go. Quick as the flap of a hummingbird's wings, I unsheathed my PPK and aimed it between Commissioner Fortier's eyes. He was befuddled by my speed, and realized he couldn't even get to his gun. Commissioner Fortier, with all due respect, you wouldn't have stood a chance. I returned the pistol to its holster. But as a gentleman, my word is my bond.
Mr. Weebling, it saddens me that we can't spend more time together. My intuition tells me that you've got quite a yard to spin, he said, standing to leave.
Commissioner, you have no idea. Perhaps I'll write a book someday. I assume eternal damnation allows for plenty of free time.
Son, I'm sorry how this all shook out. My word of honor, I will never breathe a word of this to Miss Blue. I'll take leave of you, sir, and Godspeed.
Au revoir, Commissioner, I said in a monotone, feeling I had been gutted. I made the bed, changed back to my old clothes, and neatly folded my 24-hour-old suit and left it on the bed. I grabbed my book of Pederach and walked to the ferry. No note, no nothing. On the ferry I thought about jumping into the churning brown water. I was living proof that evil spirits can cross over the water. The Mississippi had become my river Styx, and crossing it this one last time was my guarantee of Hades. Before that inevitable end, I had a few things I wanted to do. I walked to the bus stop and got a bus to Metairie. As I was on the bus, I glanced at my watch. 6 o'clock. She was probably just getting home, coming through the door, seeing the suit and trying to figure out this fucking agonizing life. I made it back to the motel and paid for the room I had hardly even used. By 9 p.m. I was heading east on Highway 10, toward Houston and Clint Rodham.
Thank you for listening to A Murder Most Foul, The Life of a Hitman, copyright 2025, as read by me, the author, Dr. Richard Marks. A new chapter will be posted each week. A Murder Most Foul is produced and recorded at Batavia Studios in Jakarta. This podcast and A Murder Most Foul, The Life of a Hitman are solely works of fiction, and any similarities to persons living or dead are merely coincidental. The music used in this podcast is the second movement of Franz Schubert's Piano Trio in E-flat, Opus 100. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, please feel free to email me at drrichardmarks@gmail.com. That's drrichardmarcs@gmail.com. If you enjoy the show, please like and subscribe to the podcast and tell a friend. Thank you, and until next week,
be more than you seem.